Hello friends, today we are going to see HTML5 APIs in which I will cover geolocation, web workers, web storage, drag and drop and SSE. So let's start. Here in HTML5, let's start with the geolocation first, and this is the most popular HTML5 API and that is used to get the address or location of the user. You can get the address with the help of latitude and longitude, and let me show you how. Here, if I want to get the position of a user, I will allow or I will ask the user to provide me the location. That could be with the help of any click action or without any action. Let me click on this write editor, and when I clicked on this button, that is getting my location as well, and that is getting shown here that I am living in Shaupuri, Satara. The same way you can also try this and get the user's location, and that we are going to see in this topic. So this is actually an API. So API means application programming interface. It is an interface of a language in which the HTML and JavaScript combines together and forms a API, which is geolocation, which will help us to gather the information about the location. So there are different APIs. Like I mentioned, geolocation is there. The same way we have drag and drop, web storage, web workers, server sent event, and there are other APIs as well, like speech synthesis API is also there. It can help the user to get the voice and provide the text or vice versa. So here in this chapter, we are able to see how the geolocation got our location and showing the map, and what all other code we will be using in it, that we are going to see today. Then that could be JavaScript code as well. Mostly it is JavaScript, but if you don't know the JavaScript, you can ignore the JavaScript code, but at least you can understand the concept. So all the latest browsers supports HTML5 geolocation API, and we have to ask the user to provide the API. Without user consent, you cannot get the location with the help of this particular geolocation API. And I need to open this particular page in another browser in order to show you how it asks user to provide the API. So now we are here, and I have opened this address. Let's say for this particular site, I have not shared my location, and I want this site to ask the location first. Let's see if this site asks the location. I don't see, so we will stick to the W3 school only. Here it is. And here there is a try it button. Now I clicked on it and it is showing the location, some other thing, because we are not using GPS, global positioning system, in our laptops, right? Our phone shows accurate location, but our internet IP address or server address, whichever ISP or means internet service provider we are using, that is where not providing or not going to provide any accurate location. In earlier case, it was somewhat accurate, which is Shaupuri, but here it is not showing that. So this depends to your internet provider as well as your IP address and all. So here, if we are going to open this particular thing in mobile, let's say, and GPS is enabled, in that case, it can detect accurate location. So it works in both mobile and laptop, but it will detect accurate location on mobile when GPS is on. So now let's see the code. So here JavaScript code is there, and this code is going to execute when you click on this particular button, because on click the get location function is going to work. And get location function says if navigator means browser has geolocation feature enabled, then work or load this particular geolocation feature and get the current position out of it. I'm not going to explain the JavaScript code to you because this is something advanced and you don't know if you are a beginner. So in JavaScript series, we will definitely cover that. But for now, just understand the concept, what API it is and what it does. So current position is going to get the position from the browser, and whatever the function we are passing as a callback function, which will execute once we get the location, that is going to execute, and that function here is show position. So here is our show position function where we are going to get the position object. In this object we are going to have coordinates, latitude and longitude. So whatever the position object we have received, out of it we are going to get the coordinates, and specifically latitude and longitude, both coordinates we will require, and we are going to print it here like this. So these are my coordinates. If you want to see the location with the help of these coordinates, you can just search coordinates to location or something like that, which will help you to show you the location of for these coordinates. So this is first latitude. I will copy this and I will paste it here in latitude field. Then I will get the longitude as well. I will paste here. Let me click on get address. Okay. Okay. So here it is showing some address which is from Pimpri Chelmsford. Okay. Let's try another site. Okay, there is one site. Longitude I have pasted. Now latitude also. Okay, now let's see if it finds. Okay, somewhat near to that only. So it is not accurate since GPS is not relevant and it is just getting the address with the help of latitude and longitude, but it is somehow getting my address near to my address only. Okay, good. So with the help of latitude and longitude, you can get the address. Now, let's see what we have next. Okay. So I have just explained the code, and error handling can be done because if user has not provided the location, let's say, let me remove the location first from my browser. I will search for the location. Here it is. I have provided my location earlier to this W3 school site. I will remove that. And now if I go here and click on this button, it will ask me for the location. Let me show you. Yeah, I clicked on that button and it is showing this box where allow and block options are there. If I block the location, that is not going to get my latitude or longitude, and if I allow, then and then only it is going to detect my location. I will say block, and you won't see the graph or map here which shows my location because I have denied it. And if you deny, then there comes the error handling. So if the permission is denied, you can show this message to the user that you denied the request. The same way, if it is unavailable location or location cannot be detected, this message can be shown, or you can modify the message. The same way, if there is a timeout, then you can show this particular request when user is not doing anything and the time is out. And if there is any other error, you can just say this error or unknown error has occurred. Likewise, you can handle the error handling with the help of this switch case and function to show the error. And this will work if the user has denied the location access. But if see the user is denied the request, it can show, right? But if I, let's say, go back and now I will click on this try it is not going to ask me again because I have denied it, right? So I will enable it from here, and if I click, this address bar is there, and if I go here and see the error handling code. Now it will not show me the error. It is going to get the latitude and longitude, and this happened because in the show position function we are showing that. We saw this earlier, and we also saw this how if works. If geolocation is enabled, then only show this particular show position function, and if there is an error, show error function will be executed. And what is show error? This is the code which we just saw to show the errors. And if geolocation itself is not available in that browser, then this particular error message can be shown to the user. So this is something related with JavaScript code. Even if you don't understand this, that's okay. You can just understand the concept, and in the JavaScript series we will cover it in detail. Okay, so geolocation chapter is over. Now we will move to the next chapter. And what we have next is drag and drop API. So drag and drop API is something where user can just drag something and drop somewhere in order to move the code, or in order to move the object, image, or anything you want. Just like recycle bin, right? We move the files to the recycle bin to delete it. The same way you can have any other functionality like copy, paste, etc. But this drag and drop API is there, which is going to help you. And to do that, the most important attribute is draggable true, which is the first step to make any element draggable. So you can add it to image, table, button, text, video, whichever you want. The element should have draggable true attribute in order to make it draggable. Then drag start means on drag start event is there. When you start dragging this particular function is going to execute, which is drag. Then on which area you are going to drop that particular element, that area is going to have two attributes. One is on drop, what should happen when you drop it, and when the drag is over, what should happen. So let me show you the example. So this is the area where I'm going to drag and drop my image. This is the image, and for this particular image, draggable true is defined, so it will make it draggable. Yes, it is draggable. And on drag start, this event will work. So this event says drag function should run, and this is the function. So what it does is it sets the text, means whatever the text we have in terms of this id. So what we have, e.target.id means event is this on drag start, target is this element, and id is this element's id, which is drag1. So whatever drag1 text is there, that is going to set in data transfer object. When you drag over to that area and drop it, then on drag over this function and on drop this function is going to work. So let me show you that. Allow drop. So allow drop is going to do nothing because it is just preventing the default action. So it should not close the window or open the entire image in a window. So that's why dot prevent default is there. So default action will be prevented. And when you drop that finally, then drop is going to work, and drop function says, okay, so first of all, don't do any default events or actions. That's why prevent default is there. And when you drop it, then whatever the transfer object has in terms of text, right? So we saw that id was there. So id is drag1, and that id is here in variable. They have saved it, and now you can get the element by id. And what was the id? That drag1. And we can just say, okay, so whatever event is there, so event is drop, target is this particular division, and append child means append this particular element which you are going to get this with id drag1, and this image is going to be inside as a child of this particular division. That's how drag and drop API works. You can practice it and play with it online. And that attribute draggable to, don't forget to write it. And then JavaScript code is there. That's why this is a API, right? HTML and JavaScript works together. Now web storage API. So what is web storage? So previously we were having cookies, and that was a plain text, and that was not for saving the secure or sensitive information, since that was a plain text, and it is for different purpose. Cookies can be saved to get the data a later stage or set the expiry for that particular data. But here in local storage and session storage, this is a new concept introduced in HTML5, where local storage is something which cannot be deleted until and unless user deletes it manually or deletes it from the code. It does not have any expiry time. And session storage is something which is same as local storage. It can be deleted with the code, it can be deleted manually by the user, same as local storage, but only one difference is there, that it gets expire as soon as you close that current tab. So if this is a session storage, let's say the session is stored for this particular tab, when I close this tab, that data is going to expire. And the same way, you can just go to inspect, then from here you can just go to application. In application you will find local storage and session storage. So I mentioned for both of these, user can delete data from here, like this is a id, this is also a key, whichever key and value pair you want to delete, you can delete that. The same way session storage is also going to have some data. Here there is no data, but website can have, like these websites are there, right? They have their own session storage. So this can be deleted by user as well, and this can be deleted or created by code as well. But what is the difference here is, for local storage, even if you delete uh, manually, but if there is a time, so there is no time and it does not delete automatically. But in case of session storage, when you close that current tab for that particular session or for that particular tab, the data is going to expire. The same way, when you close the browser also, it is going to expire because all the tabs are going to close, right? So all the sessions are going to expire. And when you restart the laptop and come again, or restart the browser and come again, then the session is not there no longer. But local storage will be there even if you restart the laptop as well. And it is better than cookies because let's say there is a sensitive data which should be there present for limited time, and when the browser is getting closed or tab is getting closed, that data should be expired. In that case, you can go for the session storage, right? So that is better than cookies. So this is a storage which have two types, local storage and session storage, that are present on window object. In JavaScript, window object is there, we can just check type of storage is present or not. If it is not defined, means it is undefined, then it is not available in your browser, and if it is defined, means your browser supports that. And in the else part, we can do the code. So we can set the item with the help of set item key on local storage object, and this is our key name or variable name, this is our that value for that key or variable, last name is going to be Smith, and we will run this code and see what is the output here. So when I checked it, that whether that this storage API is supported or not, if it is not undefined, means it is supported, so we can just set item last name Smith. I will go to this inspect application tab, and for this local storage I will check for this particular our W3 Square site whether that last name is there or not. We can scroll or we can just filter from here, last name. Okay, here it is, and yeah, there is Smith. Smith is the value for that. So this website is there to store the data, right? The same way we can get the item also. So get item method is there. We can just say last name we have to get, and Smith you can say here because we stored it here, right? The same way, let's say I don't want that Smith to be shown. I want some other keys or key value pair. In that case, let me see what all other key value pair we have. Okay, log level, let's say warn is the value, right? So I will say log level I want. So log level key I will write it here to get the item, and it will say warn. So that's how you set or get the item. And yeah, of course, if your browser so does not support it, you can just show the error message to the user. So this was local storage. The same way where you stored the key, right? The set item. The same way the key and value can be stored with this help of this another method as well, where you don't need to use set item method. You can just say local storage dot your key name, whichever it is, last name, or and your value for that key. This will also work same way. And instead of get item, you can just say local storage dot the key name and whatever the value is stored, it will be displayed. So this is another method. In order to remove any key, you can just say remove item and the key name, and your data will be gone. That can be stored to store some information which we may require in future in local storage. So like this example, right? This is the example. JavaScript code is also there, but it will show that whenever I click on this button, this value is getting incremented. So let's say this is 15 now. If I close the tab and if I go again and click, then it is starting from 16 and 17, not starting from 1 2 3 4, right? Why? Because we are using local storage here and storing that count in local storage. Local storage is persistent, so we don't see that getting deleted on click of this close button of the tab, right, or browser. That is going to remain there only. But in case of session storage, when we do that, if I say, let's say 5 is the count now, I close this tab and again reopen, and when I start clicking on it, again starts with 1, because it lost its values, because it is session storage and it ends when that current tab is closed. So session storage is particular to that tab itself. Then we have web workers API. So web worker is a concept where you can set a JavaScript file to work it as a background process. So in a background, you can process some data or do some actions or capture the user events or whatever, do whatever you want in JavaScript. But that particular JavaScript is going to run in a background so that the functionality or the performance is not going to impact. User can see your web page and search on it and use your web page, but in the background, so you can run your web worker. So let me show you with the example. So here I'm starting the web worker. This is going to count for how many seconds the user was there on my site, and the user can scroll to the site or read the document and all. And when the user closes the window, I can just stop it internally, and this information I can send it to the server that okay, so user is average time of the reading of this document for the user is 26 seconds, let's say. So this kind of processing we can do in the background without letting user know. Right now it is visible because they have shown it as an example, but we can just hide this and count the seconds and whatever we can do, capture the actions of the user and all in terms of web workers, which is a background process for JavaScript. So JavaScript file we have to provide, so we can just write new worker and give our file name, and that can be possible only if your browser supports it. So with the help of type of, let me show you the entire code. Yeah, here it is. So we just checked whether type of worker is present or not. If it is not undefined, means that is available, and we can just say okay, if it is not undefined, if it is undefined, then create a new one. Means here it is worker and here it is W. So worker is what? Worker is an object which is web worker, and here we are checking whether the web worker is supported by this browser or not. If it is not supported, then we will run this code, which is your browser does not support. And if it is supported, let's say, which is not undefined, means it is defined, then we will check whether that W variable is undefined or not. What is the W variable? We will come to know that. First of all, see that if W variable is undefined, means it does not have anything, means worker does not have anything in it, create a new worker and assign that JS file to it, and that is nothing but the W. So W is a variable which contains a web worker file, JS file, and if there are no any JS file defined, means with if W is undefined, then we can define the JS file to the W variable. And once we define that, whenever we get the message from that JS file, we can just show it in terms of event data, and that's how web worker works. And when you want to stop it in a stop function, you can just write w.terminate to terminate that web worker, but it is still not deleted, and that's why we write w is equal to undefined. So next time when it checks for this particular condition that is undefined, that's why it will be created again. Otherwise, if you just do terminate, that is not going to work or create a new JS file or as a web worker, right? And that's why we write undefined, and that's why this extra condition is there, whether it is undefined or not. And this way we can just scroll to the site or do whatever we want. This background process is going to work in the background. It is not going to take much memory since it is a web worker, and we can stop that as well, like this. Okay. Then we have next chapter, which is SSE. SSE is a server sent events. So you must have seen stock market data getting updated for every half a second or 1 second, or you must have seen a cricket score is getting updated without refreshing the web page, right? So these can be done with the help of SSE, which is server sent event. So whenever the server file sends an event or message, our client JavaScript can detect that and show it to the user. So here the server-side technology is PHP used. You can use any technology, but when this PHP file or ASP.JSP, whichever file it is going to send the message, our JavaScript can detect that event data and show it to the user. So now this here, in case of this code, the PHP file is showing their server side timestamp, and it is getting printed again and again. And if your browser does not support event source, in that case we can show the error message, and if it supports, then we can run this code. So this is JavaScript code we are not going to understand, that's okay, but at least you understand the concept. We are not refreshing our web page, right? And still the data is getting updated. So imagine instead of this timestamp, stock market data or cricket score data is getting updated, even you are not refreshing it. And that's how you see a cricket score updated or the stock market score updated. There are other methods as well, like SSE, we have Ajax or fetch method or Axios, or and there are many with which we can get the data for the time interval. And the PHP code looks something like this, which you don't need actually, but if you want, you can just see the ASP code is also written here, because whatever server sends, we can get the data here and show it to the user. And since this is a front end series, we are not going to see the server side code. Now we have covered everything inside APIs. Here we are ending the HTML basic beginners guide series. We have covered all the chapters. Now you can just play with the examples, tutorials, exercise and all, and see if how much score you get in the HTML quiz. And here I would like to stop. Share this entire series with your friends, family, and whoever is interested in learning HTML. Since it is a beginner's series, they will be able to learn, watch, and follow it and try on their own by watching the video simultaneously. I hope this series will help you. Uh, Go and watch the playlist section of my channel, and I hope I will see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.